Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I am Sarah Martin with The Contoured Chemist. I've got a blank slate today so we can talk eyeshadows. We're gonna go through the next shade of the season, the Sweet Treat collection, as well as talking about how to build that basic palette that you need in order to do any eyeshadow look you want. So if you want to check it out, please keep watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and thanks for being here. All right, friends, let's go ahead and get started. Before I forget what I actually used on my face, I put, see, I've already forgotten, lip tints on my cheeks. So I have pinky ombreing up into cherry for blush today. And then I did Makeup by Mario. This is my current favorite lip liner. This is the shade Smoky Pink. It's like the perfect nude pink, your lips but better, and I feel like it works with every single shade. And I just threw on a little bit of pinky. That's it, super simple. I might switch it up as I do some eyeshadow looks, but let's go ahead and get right on into the Sweet Treat collection, which is the new shade of the season that is coming. It's a really good one because it's got two of my favorite formulations ever, two duochrome. Sweet Treat collection, it will not be in this palette. It will actually be in a blue metallic compact that I just don't have. This is the closest thing I have, but you can get the entire collection in a square with the half brush cleaning tile in it, or you can get all shades individual as well while supplies last. That will be dropping May 15th, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Let's talk the shades included and do some comparison swatches. So if you don't know, these were all part of the Advent calendar. They're slowly releasing 3 shades at a time for, oh my gosh, I should have wrote down how long are these available. I'll put it down here. I believe it's like a few months. And then once it's gone, it's gone. You won't be able to get it again. So if you had any favorites from that Advent collection that you wanted to pick up an extra of, or you broke one, or whatever the case may be, at least that's what I'm doing. I broke one, and so I'm anxiously awaiting for them to be re-released so that I can pick up a replacement. Okay, so I'm gonna pick up each one individually so you guys can see. So it's really hard to show on camera these duochrome formulations because I feel like the camera just does not pick it up the same way as the naked eye. Even on the eyes, it doesn't look the same. So if you don't know, a duochrome is one that like will change colors as you move with it. They are my favorite. I wish we had literally 100 of these. I buy them from any and all brands when I see them, to be honest. And so we did have a few in the Advent collection, and this one was probably tied for my top 2 of my favorites. So this is Sugar. It is a duochrome, and you can tell it goes purple to gold. But I'll be honest, on the eyes, it looks mainly gold in pictures. So just know it does have that shift. So here it is swatched on the hand. You can kind of see the purple to gold. And I feel like it's just because the way photos are taken, that gold is metallic, right? It like stands out, but it's got that like purple undertone. Oh, it's so pretty. It's one of my favorites. And since I'm a gold lover, I could wear this on repeat every day. So I'm gonna build up the swatch heavier, and I feel like the heavier I put it on, I don't know, the more gold it appears, right? But you can see that purple shift. So just know on the eye as you move, it's gonna change. They compare it closest to Una, just because we don't really have anything else even close, but Una was this purple shade. I will be honest, I don't really consider these to be very similar, but it kind of has that purple undertone. So if you have Una, this is definitely different enough, like by far different. Next is Candyland. This is one of the prettiest shadows in a pan we've ever had. I mean, it's just really fun and really stinking gorgeous. So if you can't tell, it is also a duochrome. Violet and fuchsia with blue shimmer. So you can kind of tell it, talk about multi-tonal, like it changes a lot. It's just, but like when swatched, it's not as scary. Okay, so I feel like people see blue glitter and they're like, ugh, but it isn't as intense when swatched as it is on here. This is why in the 10, so deceiving, always and forever. So the more you lay down that pigment, the more you can tell it is fuchsia. And then it's got a little bit of that like bluish violet shimmer to it, but it is not nearly as intimidating when swatched. So don't be scared. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. So there's the swatch again. Oh, it looks so different. So in person, when I look at it just to the naked eye, this, you can see just like this finely milled, like violet shimmer. And then like on camera, I feel like it picks up way more blue than it looks like in person. So just know it's gonna change and it's gonna look different depending on how you're looking at it yourself or in photos. I'm gonna build up the swatch just to show you that it's not just the pan, it really does just build up and isn't as blue as the pan looks. Oh, so pretty. Is that not fun? So pretty. They say it is closest to Mihiha, which is this one, which is a matte. So not super similar. This is a very pigmented matte, I believe because of the fuchsia undertone, but to be honest, we don't have anything like this color. This is very different, not really in the same ballpark, in my opinion. And then last but not least is Blue Satin, which is not a duochrome. This is a marbled. So everyone's marbled looks a little bit different depending on the manufacturing, but you can see it's got flecks of purple and white within this one. The marble just gives it a very like finely milled frosty finish, but this is definitely looks like a periwinkle color when swatched, in my opinion. So you can kind of see though, it's got a lot more tones than just a flat, like you look at it in the light, you can almost see the purple shimmer. So you know how some shades have that like iridescent purple within it? That's what this looks like to me. So you see the blue pigment, but then it's got that iridescence of that white to purple shift. So it's, again, unique. These marbled and duochrome textures are very finely milled. I don't know if you can tell. It's really hard to tell on camera, but it is very finely milled. Again, hard to tell. I feel like everything just looks blown out on camera, but very reflective, so pretty. And I feel like, oh man, that something about like, it's like a blue with purple undertone. So pretty. To be honest, this was one of the most shocking shades for me because I saw it in the tin. I was like, I'm not gonna like that. I don't know. And then I actually put it on and I actually put it on my eyes and I was like, oh, okay, I was wrong. I love it when I'm proven wrong from an eyeshadow. Now this one did highly remind me of Duke, which is part of our permanent line, which is just a straight light blue shimmer. But this is something that, again, is hard. They're the most similar, but to me, they aren't, like they look similar in the 10, in my opinion, besides the marble. But when swatched, like you can't even see how iridescent this looks and how much more purple this looks on camera than it does to the naked eye. Like it looks way more purple and iridescent, whereas this is just a pale blue shimmer. Okay, this is also more finely milled in my opinion as well. Pretty much if you have mature eyes and you're scared of shimmers, and you're like wanting to stay away from the chunky glitter type situation, anytime you see the marbled, they are so finely milled that like if it's a color that's, I mean, I obviously wouldn't wear this on my face, but like you can also, they can double as highlights on the face. Okay, so that's how finely milled they are. I think they're more finely milled than even our powder illuminators. Like they show less texture on me and on my skin than those do. So if that helps you compare, they're really good for mature eyes, especially if you just keep them on the lid, you will be golden. All right, so now we've covered the swatches. Before we do an eye look with all 4 of these shades, let's talk basic eyeshadows. I do custom eyeshadow matches. If you don't know, I will put the link down in the drop box below the video and the pinned comment, and it's all for like permanent collection shades. And I ask you all kinds of questions on a questionnaire, and then I will build you like an arsenal of colors based on what your preferences are. Now, I do that with only permanent shades. So when colors like this are dropped, it becomes like, okay, I already have my basic needs of like me being able to do any eye look I want. And then these are like what I consider the fun shades. What I see a lot of times is that people are buying all of the fun shades and not investing in the basics to build any eye look. So I was inspired by other makeup brands' basic palettes. So this is Makeup by Mario, very famous palette. This is one of his matte basics, all mattes, all basic colors. You might look at this and be like, blah, Sarah, blah, like, blah. I get it. But the number of looks you could do with just this palette alone, much less. This doesn't mean that's all you have to wear. This just gives you the basics so that you can create any eye look with a fun shimmer like these. Because I will be honest, I can't wear these multiple ways, maybe a little bit, but for a one eye shadow look, I can't wear one of these. Without definition to my eye, because I have very hooded eyes that are getting more hooded every year due to age, right? Like you won't be able to see any color on my lid because when I relax, like my entire eyelid is no longer visible. So the key to especially mature aging eyes like mine is that you have to be able to carve out your eye, and you never ever want to use a shimmer to do that, because what does shimmer look like on wrinkly eyelids? If you have them, you know, right? You've probably tried it before and you realize you can't do that look, right? We want to disguise that texture as much as possible, which is why there is so much going around saying if you are, have mature eyes, you can't wear shimmers. And I do not believe that at all. But there's a difference between not wearing shimmers and knowing where to place the shimmers on your eye. And there are areas of your eye you can, and the shimmer also matters. So like I said, we have some colors in our collection, a little bit chunkier, a little harder for mature crepey eyelids to wear, especially if they get into the most textured area by accident, right? It just increases the look of texture, and we don't want that. But a matte, basic matte colors are key. That is how we're gonna carve out our eye, make it look bigger, and disguise some of that texture we have by creating shadow and depth so that hooded, aging eye area gets pushed back. And then we can just bring forth the part that we want to shine, which means we're gonna use that shimmer in the inner to half of the eye so that our eyes get opened up and don't feel so heavy and dragged down. And you're gonna love a shimmer when you figure out how to place it. So first, before you can go have fun with shimmers like these, which are great for mature eyes, by the way, I designed kind of it's not completely matte, but I could have made it all matte, but I picked my favorites. And I went ahead and just put brand new ones for myself of all of these beautiful tones so that I could have a little bit more variety and versatility than even that Mario palette, because it does have some great shades, but it's missing some tones for me personally that I like to wear. So I went ahead and kind of came up with this. Now I do have 2 shimmers in this, but, oh wait, sorry, I lied. 1, 2, 3. So I have my highlight shade, and then if you guys know my category system, numbered all of our Seint eyeshadows in a way to make it easier for you to know where to put them on the eye and what is darker than other colors. So that way you kind of know a 4 is a great in the crease, on the hood, mid-tone matte shade. And then you can kind of build you an arsenal of basics. Now, it doesn't mean they have to be boring. Sometimes I like to switch it up and like to go warmer or pinks or whatever the case may be, and not just go straight as neutral as you can get, which is like basic. Basic is basic, but it is also key to have those basic shades in your arsenal so that when you get maybe a little bit more difficult colors to wear, you can build an eye look really easily by just using your basics and then popping one of these bad boys on the lid, because that is the only place I personally can wear these colors, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna kind of just show you what I have in my palette for reference. Now, obviously you can start with a couple and kind of just build. I typically say have 1 at every number and you will be golden, and then you can add additional tones for versatility, because this is the color that you're gonna see when your eyes are open. This is the color that's gonna be up on your hood. You're only gonna be able to see these fun shades when you blink. So instead of investing so much in these all the time, get a few, but make sure you have your basics first is my point of this story. So I do have Drift, which is my go-to 1 shade. That is a highlight. I use that inner corner underbrow. You can use it on the inside of your lid as well, but it is a shimmer to kind of catch the light and open up your eye. Usually you want something lighter than your skin tone, and so this is a very universal shade. I'd say Drift and Sabrina are golden for that. Then I went ahead and went in with like different tones. You don't need all of these, but my recommendation is having 1 highlight shade. If you're scared of using something that shimmery or bright, Rome is one of our really subtle shimmers. It is almost at skin tone, so it's not gonna be super bright or increase texture at all. When people are anti-shimmer, I say, please try Rome. It is like, it's just money. It's so good, especially for mature eyes. And then the next line, you don't need all of these. This is what I call the magic eraser shade. This is the color of your lid, more or less, and you can use it to set your entire eye and even out the eye. So I did go ahead and prime my eyes with my eyeshadow primer. I'll link this down below. It's Amazon, it's awesome. I have very oily eyelids and this works really well for me. And then you can either go in heavy with your Vanilla Dust, any setting powder, or you can go in with your magic eraser shade. This one is Pup, it's cooler. This one is Stay Golden, it's the warmest. And then Chai is kind of, it's a touch warm, but obviously everybody's skin tone has a touch of warmth to it, right? So this one is my perfect shade. It's like, can't even tell it's on. And if I make a mistake with blending out my eyeshadow, this is also how I like use this to help blend. Okay, so if you're doing your hood and it's like, ooh, I need to blend this, that's your magic eraser shade. It fixes mistakes. You can also use a setting powder for it, but I find it really helpful to have 1 of those in your arsenal. And then we have some 4 shades, and I think I put more than just 4. I think I put like 5 in here because this is probably my most used shade. When I travel, I take at least 5. I want different tones. Because I like to sometimes use more than one. Sometimes I'll use the coolest one here in the crease to create more of a shadow, and then I'll use a warmer one up on my hood. I have a lot of lid space. So some people's brows are a lot lower. You're not gonna have as much space to kind of add warmth and ombre it up in order to kind of like take up space and help blend. So if you have larger lid spaces like I do, sometimes it really helps to go in with something cool here, create that depth and shadow, and then bring something warmer up onto your actual hood. Don't get all the way into the brow area, but like here. So that way you can help blend out, and also you wanna make sure you're taking up that lid space to give it a nice cohesive look. We sometimes hear this as a transition shade. Some people don't have a lot of lid space for their transition shade, and some people have a lot. So I always like to use something warm for that, because on my skin tone, it looks the most natural. It's kind of like when you see somebody pop a bronzer into, it's the same thing. You could use, if you have a powder bronzer, use that. Same concept. I apologize if you can hear my lawn person, because they like to show up at the most inopportune times. So for the 4 shades, I have Bubba, which you guys know is one of my ride or dies. Then we have Cafe. Basic is the most neutral. Cafe is a little bit cooler, a little bit more purple in it, to be honest. And then we have Claire, which is pink, also warm. Sometimes I'll use this up above my other shade as well. And then Bird. Bird is also, you can tell, it's a titch darker than these, but it has green undertones, olive undertones. So to me, that's a little bit cool, but still also very neutral and will pair great with so many shades. Then we get into what I call the 4-5 category, meaning you could use these lightly also in the hood, or you could build them up darker and they could definitely pull up to that 5 if you want to like pop them in the outer corner or use them as liner. So this is going to be Oak, Zion, Sedona. There are others, but I was trying to get a nice variety of different undertones. So I wanted cool and warm. I have like a little bit warmer and different tones, but there's not necessarily like a perfect neutral at every depth or anything like that. I mean, both of these are cool, but this one's more purple, this one's more green. You get the idea. And then lastly, but not least, is 5 shades. These are great as liner colors or outer corner. I like to keep them matte so that you have a lot of versatility and they give really good depth at the lash line. So I use Cocoa all the time. Trust in my brows. Then there's Coal, which is more of a really dark charcoal, almost black, but we also have a black. And then Revival, which is more of a really deep plum. And these are just my very personal favorites, my top picks from like each category if I'm trying to build the most versatile palette. So I hope that makes sense. Let's go ahead and put them on the eye. Okay, friends, moving you in closer so you can see how to build what I call just like a basic blueprint for you to be able to use any shimmer shadow. So you get your basic contouring of your eye done, and you can stop at several different places within this. So let's go ahead and start with the first color, which would be your Magic Eraser shade. And I'm gonna go on with Chai. And this is really simple, all over the lid. Wash, make sure everything's evened out. Make sure we got a nice base for all these eyeshadows to blend off of. I'll show you how you can use one brush, the eyeshadow brush, because it is the most versatile. If you don't have any Seint brushes, this would be the one I would say pick up for eyes. Then we're just gonna go in with the most basic of all shadows, basic, which is the probably only what I would consider perfectly neutral. Like, it's maybe a little cooler than warm, but it is, in my opinion, the perfect neutral. Not too gray, not too warm. And we're just gonna kind of put that right into the hood. So if we were looking forward, it would be right where your eye socket is, right where you crease. Okay, so open your eyes, make sure it's in there. You can close your eyes and then just blend that back and forth, okay? Not a lot of pressure, because if you have loose skin there like I do, we're just using the very tip of the brush, and that's why this eyeshadow brush is a must-have. It is the perfect blending brush. So you can build that as light or as heavy as you want. It's truly just depending on maybe the eyeshadow you're choosing for your lid. The darker that color is, kind of the darker that this shade needs to be to contrast it. And also you want to kind of not pick a color too close to it, because then it can blur together and create that dreaded one color all over look. Now I'm going to take the same shadow, use the small end, and just kind of pop it right on the lower lash line to give a little bit of definition without light. Here's where my eye personally needs more of a lift. I mean, I can take all the lift I can get, right? So I went ahead and went in with Claire, because I wanted to show you guys. Don't be scared of pink. I love this color, and I think it's gonna tie in really beautifully with our first color that I'm gonna put on the lid. So right above where basic stopped, we're almost using this to blend it out, and we want to make sure this is visible with our eyes open. And I'm just slowly kind of building so that it looks blended, but it's enough to where I can see kind of an ombre. I can see the tone is warmer, so it goes from like a shadow to a touch warmer. So if you have the lid space, this trick can really help brighten and open up your eye. I'm gonna take a little bit of that just to tie everything together on the lower lash line as well. So you can literally stop there. You could stop with just the one shade, to be honest, but I like to use two sometimes when I have the time, which isn't always. You can stick with the same brush, and now you can create more depth in the outer corner. Sometimes when I skip this, I feel like I see way more texture here than when I kind of just add a little bit more depth. Because if you remember, darkness recedes, light brings forward. So if you have a lot of texture in areas, if you put darker shades on them, they're not gonna be as visible. So, and mattes are even better, not reflecting light. So this is again why we choose matte for everything from the crease up. Doesn't mean you cannot wear slight shimmers in the outside corner. I find if it's dark enough to use as a 5 shade in the outside corner, dark still absorbs so much light that they don't look very shimmery. It is very different than using a 1 shade which reflects and is lighter. Does that make sense? So I'm gonna go ahead and use Oak, and you can just kind of press it right there and blend into the actual crease to create more depth. Now, if you want more than one tool and you want the best tool for the job, I always pick up the smudge brush, the round end. This is so dense and so easy to kind of pack on depth in a short amount of time. So I can just go pop, 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 flip it over and blend. And then sometimes I even like to pick up, kind of press a little bit more. Now, because this is so dense, I don't like to do much blending with this because it just moves my skin, but you can definitely do a little bit of blending for harsh lines on the side, and it works really well. It also packs on color really well on the lid. Okay, last but not least is the 5 shade. I went ahead and used the 4-5 in the outer corner, and you can kind of tell. Still gave me plenty of depth, especially for daytime. If I wanted more drama, I would go into one of these 5s. I'm gonna use them as liner, but first I'm gonna use a little bit of a pencil. This is Sochi brand, and I'm obsessed with this color. It's called Nights in Bordeaux. You can see how tiny this pencil is, and it is like pretty much Revival in an eyeliner, but it is precise and waterproof, and it doesn't budge. So I'm just gonna do it as close to my upper lash line as possible. And I love being able to kind of Just go straight out and wing it. And it is like, oh, I'm obsessed with anything with these tiny tips. This is such a good pencil. I'll link that one down below as well. Then when it comes to like, if you want to set that pencil or kind of like, or if you want it more of like that smudged in, lived in look, soften it. There are a lot of brushes now within our line that can do that now that we have multiple brushes. I mean, so the newest one, what's this? In Point. I've used this. This is really great for that wing. It works. You could also use our little angled brush. You could use either side of the multitasker. The new lash brush has this great, like, smaller, more of a dense pencil brush, and I love that. But my favorite is this one from the Etch brush. I don't use the flat line. I use this one, this little bitty guy. And I'm just going to go ahead and go in with the same color. You don't have to. And I'm just gonna kind of go right over that line, soften it. Oh, I love that combo. It's perfect. Use a little bit outside corner. And then all we have left is to brighten. And that's the first step we skipped. So I'm gonna just go ahead and pick up the tiny little multitasker into Drift, and I'm just going to concentrate it right there on the tear duct. I cannot use my fingers. My fingers are too large and I have way too much texture under my eye. So again, you don't want too much brightness. You don't want brightness down here that's gonna weigh down the tail of your brow if you have mature eyes. So you wanna keep it high and tight right in the middle of your brow only and blend out so it's not too harsh. And that is our base, our basic eye. Obviously you can add mascara, lower lash mascara, but that is pretty much what I'm gonna use. I sometimes leave off the outer corner. I sometimes leave off this color, but for the most part, we're gonna carve out our crease, leave our lids open, and now we can go in with the fun shades. First up, let's go in with Candyland. I like to just use my fingers. If you want precision, if you want to brush, use the flat end of the multitasker. You can also use a white primer if you want the color to really pop. You could use a glitter primer if you want even more of a foiled effect. I'm just gonna use my finger and pop it right on the center of the lid. These colors are so versatile. You can kind of use as little or as much as you want. It's like hard to tell until you actually try to put them on your eye and you can see how fine each shimmer particle is. That if you want a lot more color payoff, you almost have to build it up because you're mostly gonna see that duochrome. You're mostly gonna see that iridescence, not so much the base color that you see in the 10. So pretty. Next, can you guess? We're gonna go in with a little blue satin, and I feel like this one can be a little bit more intimidating. Some people love blue, some people do not. I'll be honest, I don't wear as much blue as other colors because I'm not a cool toned girl. If I had blue eyes, I would probably be wearing it on repeat, but alas, I'm not. So I'm gonna go in with this. Again, we're just gonna start center of the lid. You can always add more and you can just kind of assess and be like, okay, do I want to bring it in farther? Now, when I said that you can only wear these like one way, I meant you can only wear them on the lid if you have mature eyes like me, but that doesn't mean that you can't either just wear them on the inside of your eye, just wear them on the middle ball of your eye and pair other colors with it to kind of make it more wearable for you. So for me, I think it's a beautiful color, but if I was wearing a shirt like this, I could see myself wearing it, but on the daily, I don't wear a lot of blue either. I am going to make it more wearable for me. When I talk about balancing tones, this is something that I talk about a lot because I am very warm undertone. Cool shades don't look the best on me, but I can make them work because I can balance them with the warm tones that look good on me. So obviously blue to purple, very, very cool, right? So I'm going to go ahead, whoops, wrong end, and pick up a warm tone. This is Cocoa. And I am going to put it on the outer part of my eye to balance out that blue because I had a lot of cool tones. Basic, oak were all really cool as my base. So this will kind of help you, depending on what color you're planning on putting on your eye, can help you determine what colors to make your base. I tend to like to keep a couple of them the same undertone and then the other ones swap. So if I'm wearing a warm shade on the lid, I probably would put a cool tone in my crease, warm shade on the outer corner, and maybe a warm shade up here if needed. So that way, again, my look is balanced when you have a couple from each. I rarely do all cool looks. Sometimes every once in a while we'll do an all warm look, but that's more of like if it's a sunset look because those tones just go really well together. So I kind of darkened up that outer corner. I feel like my blue went from middle to more inside corner. And if you feel like the inside corner is too much and just want to keep it the center, I'm gonna go with something different on the inside corner to kind of let that flow because it can be a little, like I don't want it to look too stark. There's a lot of really great options that would look really good with this. Oh man, I could see like a lot within this kind of range. Venus, Riviera, Stardust. There could be a lot of really great neutrals, but I'm just gonna try to use what's in my palette. So I'm gonna go in with Rome. Let's see if Rome can be the magic sauce here. I just want it to kind of naturally blend in so that I get more of a gradient. I can still see the brightness on that inside corner, but then and sometimes it takes a little finicking around so that you get a nice blend. I still want the blue in the middle. This would be really pretty with something like Bend and Snap or something purple in the outside corner as well, like Amethyst, to kind of tie in those tones. But can you see how it kind of took it from stark blue right in the middle to a little bit more wearable because I kind of balanced it with some of that warm from Cocoa. And then Rome is a nice neutral, so it wasn't too stark. Unicorn is very icy. It probably would have been way too stark with that blue on my skin tone. So there you go. That's how we kind of switched it up. You can ombre on the lid as well. You can balance out your tones. So many possibilities. Okay, friends, there you go. There is our looks with the new shade of the season, Sweet Treat Collection. If you have any questions over these shades, just drop them in the comments below. And if you're needing a full color match in order to get your own basics, the greatest thing about this, unlike this one, you pick the shades you want. No shades that you're not gonna wear. Slowly add to your collection, and let me tell you, the size of these eyeshadows, I think I've only gone through a couple of eyeshadows in my total 8 years as an artist because they're so big. They last such a long time. So they are an investment, but getting to customize your compact for your perfect shades is everything. If you're needing help picking out some shades and need a custom eyeshadow match, I will drop that link as well down in the pinned comment, and just let me know what you like and I will make sure you have a nice guide that you can use as you're building your perfect palette. The Sweet Treats will be launching May 15th. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching and being here. Love you.